Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is my pleasure to further this discussion of my government's budget for 2016-2017. Excuse me. It is a discussion I, as Prime Minister, welcome. But before I talk about the numbers, Madam Speaker, I want to discuss my government's vision and priorities in the upcoming fiscal year. Because, Madam Speaker, a strong national budget is far more than the allocations to the different ministries. Madam Speaker, a strong national budget is the continuation of a government's blueprint for the future of the Fijian people. It is a statement that we believe in ourselves and in our ability to work together with all Fijians with the right resources. And it is a declaration of consistency, sound management, and long-term vision that everyday Fijians, investors, and development partners need to see. And this 2016-2017 budget, Madam Speaker, is a very strong national budget. Madam Speaker, as we continue the hard work of recovery from Cyclone Winston, my government believes it is vital that we keep our focus on the future, a future in which we build better, a future in which we are more resilient, and a future in which we are more affluent. We make hard decisions in all the budgets. We always have to choose. But in this budget, Madam Speaker, we have not asked the Fijian people to choose between recovering from Winston and remaining on a solid course for the future. We must do both, and we have done both. We have not asked the people to pay for repairs today in exchange for years of stagnant growth in the future. That would be a fool's choice. We will not tell the people if they want their schools repaired today, they will have to delay repairs of roads and jetties, the electrification of villages and the extension of fresh water, that there must be a delay in doctors' salaries or a delay in securing and equipping our youth. That would be a breach of faith. We have not asked people to deviate from 7 years of solid growth, which would only mean prolonging the suffering that Winston caused in February. That would be stupidity and a sign of no vision. Our government has a track record of consistency, Madam Speaker. We have set a course to improve the quality of government. By the way, Madam Speaker, Honorable Biman was held up a piece of paper that was supposedly written by a very senior, ex-very senior civil servant. What he has not told the people of this House and the public at large, that senior civil servant's contract was terminated because of poor performance. In fact, it was terminated because of very poor performance. As a Deputy Permanent Secretary, he never turns up to work on Mondays. And we had to monitor his performance, and the lack of which we had to have him terminated. That was the credibility of information. That was Biman's, Honorable Biman Prasad's credibility. I'm sorry, I have to highlight that, Madam Speaker. But as I've said, Madam Speaker, we have set a course to improve the quality of government, and we have made taxation fairer and more transparent. We have radically reformed education to make it more equal and provide more opportunity. We are steadily improving infrastructure after many years of neglect. We are working hard to raise up the poorest among us by extending the social safety net for those who need it, and helping others start and expand small businesses. In short, Madam Speaker, we are investing and the investors are responding. Investors are looking for long-term consistency and for a mature approach to budgeting and economic policy. And that is why Fijians and non-Fijians alike are placing their bets on Fiji in near record numbers today. Consistency builds confidence, and confidence yields investment. Investment produces jobs and encourages people to create businesses. So, Madam Speaker, while the opposition picks away at an expenditure here and there, or questions why we have gone into a larger deficit when the answer is all around them in the distraction left by Winston, my advice to them is to find the bigger picture and look ahead. That is where my government is looking. And we find that the international financial experts in both the private sector and the major international financial institutions all agree with us. We were again reminded of the confidence the international community has placed in Fiji. Just this past Friday, Madam Speaker, when Fiji hosted its first Super Rugby match between the Chiefs and the Crusaders. Fiji was the first small island state to ever do so. And anyone who attended that match or watched it on television can tell you how inspiring it was to watch such a high-level sporting event take place in Fiji. That game showed the world that we have the facilities, the capacities, and the passionate fan base to host international sporting events. And it was a big boost for our sports tourism industry, an industry that has enormous potential to provide jobs and revenue streams into our economy. Only one example of many of how progress is being recognized and rewarded on the world stage. And another example of how targeted investment in such infrastructure is necessary and must continue. Madam Speaker, such investments will always give very good returns and build our capacity as an economic powerhouse amongst the Pacific Island countries. Madam Speaker, I believe that no nation can truly prosper if it leaves people behind when it grows. That is why we are helping Itoke landowners to develop their own land. And as you know, Madam Speaker, and the opposition knows that this is unprecedented. This year, we have again allocated $10 million to help the Itoke develop their own land. 4 projects, namely Nendua, Nandrongang, Werampetia, Soweni, and Bunda, all in the Nandi-Lotoka corridor, are already in place, and the 5th in Tamabua will soon commence. This assistance is targeted, in a very direct manner to assist Itoke landowners to not simply be people who lease out vast tracts of land to others for development, but for they themselves to become developers and they themselves to lease the land with the assistance of government. They will take the cream. Madam Speaker, landowners will only realize the true potential of their asset base and achieve sustained economic growth for our country through innovative and inclusive initiatives by my government, which are practical and are tangible. They are real and they are positive. Not through the fear, negativity, and the absence of practical solutions, as demonstrated by previous governments and by those from the other side. Only this side of the other side. That's a positive side, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I've continuously said, growth cannot be limited to the urban areas. We have to look after people in the maritime and deep rural areas by making an extra effort to extend service to them, to develop the infrastructure that links them to other Fijians and to market, and to give them a boost to develop their own livelihoods. Unfortunately, NFP cannot understand this. This focus continues in the budget, Madam Speaker. We are an inclusive government. Before the budget announcement, we had undertaken an unprecedented amount of public consultation. We spoke with high school students, young people, business houses, disabled people, and anyone who wanted to contribute to the budget. The level of participation and democratization reached record heights. And by the way, Madam Speaker, we are the first government to seriously and comprehensively prioritize awareness and assistance for the disabled and protect women and children from violence. First government. All of this, Madam Speaker, because we have a vision to modernize Fiji, a vision to empower all Fijians, a vision where the government provides an enabling environment for individuals and businesses to do so, to do what they do best, to use their God-given intellect, their drive and their energy, their savings and their assets, their skills and their talents to improve their lives. A government is successful if it believes in its people, gives them a level playing field, and creates an environment that gives them confidence. As I've said, Madam Speaker, we have both the moral and practical obligation to provide a social safety net for those who cannot participate equally, who are on the margins of society. We have increased social welfare benefits this year, as you have heard, and we have again reduced the pension age, this time from 68 to 66. This is for people who have no forms of superannuation. Honorable Minister Akbar has already detailed this initiative, and we are continuing subsidized electricity, free water, and free medicine. All of these reforms are targeted, of course, so that they go to the needy. They are means tested. Then, of course, we provide truly free education. And for the first time in Fiji's history, we also have enhanced our focus to practical learning through the establishment of 10 more technical colleges and increased the number of topper scholarships, which the Honourable Minister for Education will discuss later on. Madam Speaker, a vision is not enough. A government also needs a sound game plan to help people in their own chances for prosperity. That requires strong, decisive leadership, Madam Speaker, and that is precisely what my government has been giving Fiji. Not some dictatorship that has been harped upon by the leader of the opposition for the last 6 months. On the contrary, Madam Speaker, the dictator is coming around the corner. Unfortunately, we do not hear vision, leadership, or a game plan from the other side of this parliament. Madam Speaker, sometimes your opponents will attack you by going for the jugular vein. But when it comes to this budget, the opposition has shown an instinct for the capillary moment. They complain about the expenditure or that without specifics, then instead of focusing on the merits of the entire budget, they don't, for example, even understand the distinction between independent bodies and departments and ministries. They make unfocused, personalized, often nonsensical comments. It's a lot of rhetoric, unfortunately not a lot of substance. And Madam Speaker, the confusion and chaos in the opposition has reached new heights in the past week or so. So they attack us for the deficit, the very deficit that has been deemed prudent and wise by international experts. But I ask them, how could any compassionate human being, any leader worth of his or her people, do anything else? How could any true leader still keep faith with the Fijian people and serve them at the same time? Because that, Madam Speaker, is what I, as Prime Minister and leader of Fiji First, my ministers and my Fiji First team is here for. We are here to serve the Fijian people. All of the Fijian people. Including them. That of course, is lost on the opposition because they are more concerned right now about their individual political careers. The fact is, Madam Speaker, the opposition, the opposition have been static and reactive, while we have been forward-looking and have presented another forward-looking budget. Here is a fact everyone can take home with them, including Honorable Biman. Madam Speaker, we spend 40% of the budget on capital works, and this has been consistent. I use that word again, consistent practice of this government. Before 2006, Madam Speaker, 85% of the budget covered operating costs. No substantive assets were being built. No real effort was made to give our fellow Fijians the means to lift themselves out of poverty and improve their lives. So year in, year out, 85% of the budget was spent and nothing much was left to show for it in the fiscal year. There was also no tangible program to maintain state assets. Madam Speaker, some people think it is enough to simply help poor people by giving government alms. That does not solve the root problem. It may make them feel good, but they are only treating the symptoms of poverty. My goal, Madam Speaker, is to end poverty in Fiji. You listen to the talatala. I want you to. That is one reason why today we are spending 60% to fund operations and 40% on capital expenditures. We are building for the future, and we are building to connect our people to each other, to services, to market, and to each other. And of course, this is a major reason why our debt management has now been hailed by international agencies, Madam Speaker, contrary to the honorable leader of NFP, who, by the way, continues to speak for SODELPA. The opposition is dramatically is clinging onto another theory, but Madam Speaker, they want to do it on the backs of ordinary Fijians. I say this without no irony, because we know that it is the underprivileged, the ordinary Fijians, the marginalized Fijians, who will bear the brunt of the kind of cutbacks they are talking about. We are, of course, do not criticize for the sake of it. We, of course, do what is right for our country. We, of course, build for the future. In the 2016-2017 budget, my government has again demonstrated its unwavering support to the 200,000 Fijians who depend on the sugarcane industry. We've taken the calls from the sugarcane industry seriously. We have more than doubled the allocation for sugarcane development and farmers assistance program for $11 million in order to restore sugarcane farms to pre-cyclone and pre-drought levels of production, and of course for the future. This majority of rehabilitation funds will target the affected areas of Voreqe, Tabua, Ba, and parts of Lotoka. An area of 1,500 hectares has also been identified for assistance in Lambasa. Funds will help restore sugarcane crops in these areas and provide a solid foundation for farmers to keep production growing and keep quality levels high. This is not about short-term fixes either. We are putting the priority on the long game by emphasizing improvements in cane delivery, improvements in the value chain, harvesting practices, and cane delivery. We are promoting good husbandry on all farms, and in some cases modifying farms to better accommodate mechanical harvesting and make manual farming more efficient. Mechanization will also help address the shortage of cane cutters in many regions, and we are following the Australian model for revamping cane harvesting and transportation systems, introducing mechanical harvesters that can serve as topography to keep the mechanization process efficient and cost-effective. Madam Speaker, we have allocated $3 million towards improving cane access roads so that farmers can safely and conveniently bring the sugarcane to the mills. Furthermore, the maintenance and upgrading of over 100 cane access roads is now the responsibility of the Fiji Road Authority, affecting an estimated 679,710 tons of cane each year. A significant step in increasing the access of sugarcane farmers to mills and markets. Madam Speaker, since 2009, my government has contributed funds toward the purchase of fertilizer, covering $14.09 of the cost of every 50-kilo bag, leaving $31.50 to be covered by the farmer. As every farmer knows, sugarcane crops need adequate fertilizer to produce quality cane and maximize farm yields. We've continued our commitment to subsidizing fertilizer in this budget, and this is allocation of $9.7 million. Will go a long way in helping our farmers increase sugarcane production. Madam Speaker, my government has already stepped up to cover the additional cost of carting sugarcane from the Penang area to the Raraway mill and is set to rebuild the Penang area mill to better suit the demands of the modern market. We no longer operate in a sugar market where the quality of the sugar is an afterthought. The sugar we produce has to meet the very high standards of global buyers, or else it will not attract a premium price. Fixing the Penang mill to the same standard as before does not set up our industry for long-term gains and prosperity. Excuse me. We are taking an approach that rebuilds and upgrades the Penang mill to produce sugar that meets the requirements of global buyers, making our sugarcane industry more competitive, and that is going to take some time. It would be easy to ignore commercial and market forces in the interest of political expediency. Instead, my government is taking real steps to keep our sugarcane industry competitive, steps that secure the long-term prosperity of Fiji's sugarcane farmers and keep our industry healthy and thriving. Steps that will prepare Fiji for the close of our preferential market access to Europe in 2017 and make us capable of embracing new opportunities. Madam Speaker, in this budget, the Office of the Prime Minister has received an allocation of $17.6 million to support the head of government and the cabinet in their work to recover Fiji from Cyclone Winston, while also remaining focused on shaping Fiji into a modern country on a sustainable path of development. In 2016-17, the Office of the Prime Minister is allocated $9 million for the small and community grant scheme to support rural community projects. And while these projects can be minor, they make a real difference to the ordinary Fijians who benefit from them. Whether it be water tanks, outboard motor engines, refurbishing our school buildings in isolated parts of Fiji, water or electric projects, health facility or new access road. These projects form the backbone of our efforts to eliminate disparities between rural and urban populations, the have and the have-nots. Madam Speaker, as I mentioned earlier, education is the most effective tool a government can use to eradicate poverty. Through the foundation of the education of needy children, the Office of the Prime Minister will provide children with the resources they need to complete their education and put them on a course to contribute to the economy and improve their socio-economic standing. The Ministry of Tokyo Affairs is allocated $11.5 million in the 2016-17 budget. The Ministry promotes Itoke culture and heritage guided by the Fijian Constitution, which recognizes and protects Itoke ownership of land, the unique culture, customs, traditions, and language. I'm pleased to inform Parliament that the digitization of Voreqe records was completed just this last Thursday. In total, 646,200 individuals have been digitized, 450,129 of which have yet to register their accounts with the TLTB. We anticipate a full launch in December. To protect and preserve Itoke villages, the Ministry will continue to survey village boundaries. This involves the demarcation, surveying and registration of village boundaries, identification of land reserves for future use, and supporting village relocation for disaster risk reduction. The Ministry of Tokyo Affairs will, of course, continue its work with the provincial councils and the Itoke Affairs Board and the respective allocations that have been made to these entities, including the administrators. The Ministry will also, in the new budget, through the special revival unit, create better understanding of Itoke customs and language, in addition to encouraging the transfer of additional knowledge to youth. Madam Speaker, the budget will help build Fiji back better than it was before without compromising the vision my government has for the future prosperity and well-being of the Fijian people. It says that even after Winston, we are stronger than before. This is a strong budget, a fair budget, and an inclusive budget with unprecedented levels of consultations. It is a bold statement to the world of where Fiji stands today and where we intend to go. It builds further confidence by ensuring that my government's economic philosophy and its implementation are maintained through fair, transparent, and consistent policies and processes. It says, Madam Speaker, that through strong and decisive leadership, we Fijians can continue to reach for new heights. Strong and decisive leadership. Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, I support the budget of my government to Parliament. Now, thank you.